welcome to another episode this week of Work the Left Side. I am joined by the awesomeness that is ZiZi. Firstly, obviously, thank you for joining me. Thank you for having a chat. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm all good. I'm looking forward to this. Obviously, anybody who follows Work the Left Side on Twitter knows I will always sing your praises. I always try and big you up as much as possible. Obviously, seen you numerous times now at True Grit, and yeah, man, I just think the last 12 months you've just kind of hit the ground running. And we had Bobby Cash on recently. He was doing nothing but singing your praises.
Yeah, I've seen everything, and I'm really appreciative of it. It's always so kind. Very nice.
Not a problem.
Thank you.
That's right. Well deserved. I'm not doing it for the sake of doing it. It's earned and deserved. So yeah, still obviously early on in your career. We're cracking on. I'll get the generic stuff out of the way first. We kind of talked about it before I hit record. But obviously you're Nottingham based.
Yes.
So that equals House of Pain.
Yes.
That's your starting point.
It is, yeah. I started there when I was 15. Well, I don't actually live in Nottingham. I live in Ashbourne, which is near Alton Towers.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like an hour away. And I was Googling wrestling schools. I really wanted to start wrestling, and House of Pain was one of the closest ones, and it looked really good. So I turned up at an open day. I just so nervous at 15 years old. And yeah, I loved it. And then kind of it's been my home since the past 4 years now.
Wow. Well, see, I had the pleasure of talking to Styx a while ago. He's a former guest. He's just a big dude, larger than life.
Yeah.
That was, intimidating as hell walking through. And obviously the talent that's gone through that school, they've got a massive alumni of just very big names and, people that have gone on to do really cool stuff. Yeah. So that must have boded well. You must have just walked in there and be like, yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah, it's a really great place to be. And Styx is just the best trainer. And he's so, he does look really scary when you first meet him because he's just so jacked. But he's probably the nicest human being I've ever met in my life. He's kind of like a dad to me. I lived with him for a little bit. He's the best. I love him.
That's awesome. Yeah, he's definitely one of those, you kind of know you're in safe hands. He knows what he's talking about. And
yeah, totally.
I kind of think of House of Pain as anybody that kind of goes through there, it automatically kind of adds credibility.
Definitely. Yeah, I don't think I've ever gone to anybody and said I'm from House of Pain and from Styx, and they've been everyone's always oh, Styx, yeah, I know Styx, say hi to me for him and stuff like that. So yeah.
It's definitely it's one of the godfathers of British wrestling. I would sort of class it as now.
Yeah.
So obviously House of Pain. Right, generic question, get it out of the way. As you said, you started when you was 15. What made you was you watching wrestling at that point? Did you kind of get dragged on by somebody else? Did somebody recommend it? What made you step foot through the doors?
I wasn't a wrestling fan growing up, which I wish I was. I have so many regrets, but I didn't even know what it was. And it wasn't until I think around WrestleMania 35 was when Becky Lynch main evented Mania. I think it was. I stumbled across a random match on YouTube because I used to like jiu-jitsu and I'd watch jiu-jitsu and wrestling and stuff on YouTube, but never WWE, professional wrestling. And I came across a random match, which was just a SummerSlam 2016 one or something like that. I think it was a 6-woman tag, and I instantly fell in love. And I was like, oh my god, what is this? And I remember when they first came out, it was Naomi and Carmella, and you know how they used to have the dancing kind of entrances. I didn't realize what wrestling was, and I thought they were I was expecting some big burly women to come out, and I thought they were there to hype up the crowd. And it wasn't until they came out, and then Becky Lynch came out, and then I realized oh my god, these are the wrestlers. They've all got these crazy characters, and I was like, this is amazing. So I watched that, and then I think I watched it was Ronda Rousey versus Nikki Bella, and then I just started watching loads and loads of women's wrestling, and I just thought it was the coolest thing ever. And maybe 4 months later, I was like, I have to try this. I can't just keep watching it. I have to try it. And at that point, I didn't really like wrestling that well. I did like wrestling, but I liked the characters more. And then I started training, and then that's how I like fell in love with wrestling, and like I became a fan of all different types of wrestling. But yeah, I didn't actually grow up a fan, but it was quite quite quick.
Yeah, but you find it's like one or the other. You know, people kind of stumble onto it very close to when they start training, or they've watched it for years, and that's what makes them start training.
Yeah.
But both ways, you both kind of, everybody's got different kind of appreciation for it, kind of thing. It's kind of like, yeah, you started training very close to when you started watching it, so you've kind of got that freshness, that kind of, you're going into it with a clean slate. You know, you've got no predetermined thoughts or ideas of what's going on.
Yeah, 100%. And I think like I tended, when like growing up, I tended to like things and then get bored really easily. And I feel like if I started watching wrestling when I was really young, I kind of would have like felt like, oh, I've grown out of it, I'm going to find something new. And I wouldn't have, because I would have been too young to start training or something. I wouldn't have realized how much I actually love this. So I'm actually really grateful that I found it a bit later, because I could kind of just like throw myself into it. Because I've always been the kind of person, like I can't just watch something, like I have to do it. Like I want to join in and stuff like that. So it was like quite like a blessing in disguise that I found it a bit later, that I could just do it straight away pretty much.
That's cool, yeah, because obviously, yeah, the enthusiasm's still there, the drive's still there, and then once you start doing it, obviously you kind of committed to doing it. You know, you
Yeah.
just kind of get hooked on it. Yeah, the chances of you getting bored of watching it would be very easy for some people, but once you're actually involved, and I can only imagine, like, you know, just the working a crowd, walking out in front of a crowd,
Yeah.
that's the addictive. That becomes like, right, okay, yeah, I like this feeling.
100%. It's so fun. It's like
So I was gonna say, you mentioned jujitsu. Did you do like martial arts before you did karate then, or did you just watch it, or just a fan?
well, I did a bit like off and on. Like I did jujitsu when I was like 10, for about a year or so. And then I got bored of it. And I was like, oh, I want to do something different. Because that was me with sports growing up. Like I did like probably 50 million different sports, because I'd start them and then do something different. Like wrestling is the only thing I've actually stuck at. But yeah, so I did that. And then I stopped. And then my school a few years later started doing jujitsu classes. So I joined them again and did that for another year. And then I stopped. But I don't know why I ever stopped, because I always loved jujitsu. And I've been meaning to get back into it, but like it's just a lot, like not a whole lot of time. But when I have more time, I would love to start jiu-jitsu again. But I did it a little bit, yeah.
You don't get that pop of the crowd. That's what it is. You don't get that
Yeah.
thrill, you don't get that adrenaline. You know, you just got somebody throwing you on the floor, and there's no pop, there's no reaction, there's no, why am I being thrown around if nobody's popping for it?
Yeah, and the thing is, like, I'm really competitive, and I like doing like competitions and stuff like that. So, I know you can do it in jiu-jitsu where you can go to competitions, but I never went to them. Like, they weren't a thing at the schools that I trained at. It was just like learn how to do jiu-jitsu and get the belts and stuff. So, like, if I was able to like compete, I'm sure I would like enjoy it a lot more. So,
Again, pop of the crowd. That's it.
yeah,
That's the excitement. You know,
100%.
getting that reaction. Well, I always kind of wonder. Again, I've spoken to a few people who have done like martial arts and stuff before getting into wrestling, and the footwork always kind of comes into play. You know,
Yeah,
even if you've done it a little bit,
yeah.
it kind of helps a little bit because you're kind of a bit more fluid on your feet.
Yeah, definitely that. And the rolls, like I already knew how to roll, I already knew how to bump and stuff, like learning how to fall, all of those things I'd already learned from jiu-jitsu. So like those are like the proper basics of wrestling. If you've already got them down, it's quite like everything else comes a lot easier, I feel like.
So, as you know, as we talked, I mean, what was the exact? I've kind of got you starting late 22, based on what I've, or the sort of stuff I've seen. So you've been around for about a year and a bit, year and a
Yeah.
half.
Yeah.
What day?
So obviously I started training at 15, but then COVID hit like 4 months later. So then it was like 7 months off and then a few months on. And Sticks is very like, I know in some wrestlers will get thrown onto shows after like a few weeks of training. Sticks has never been like that. He's always like, you'll go on shows when you're ready and like you're confident and stuff. I'm not just going to chuck you out there when you're not. So I ended up like after it was like off and on for so many like months, it ended up being about 2 years before I debuted. So I think I just turned 18 at that point, because I was just about to turn 16 when I started training, which was December 2021. And then but I was still doing like my A levels and stuff, so I was very much just doing House of Pain for the first 6 months and stuff while I got my exams, and then started getting out there a bit more. And Was it 2020? Wait, when did I debut? Maybe it was the end of 2022. Wait,
I thought
2023.
it was. I might have been out, but
Maybe it
I
was the end of how I don't I you know I don't even know.
to be fair, over the last few years, all the years have kind of merged into one. It's very easy
They
to.
literally have, haven't they? I swear it was the end of 2021. Hmm. Yeah, I debuted 2 years ago, December 18th.
There you go. Then.
Yeah,
So
it
yeah,
was definitely, yeah, 100%. I don't know why. Sorry.
sorry, that's my bad. I was just looking at certain things. So yeah, you work in that, the House of Pain shows. Working within sort of where you trained. We mentioned Eve beforehand as well. She sort of said, they've got a good relationship, or they're close by to House of Pain. So that was
Elevation.
that was your next stop after the
Yeah.
House of Pain.
Yeah,
Are
yeah.
they classed as like an independent, or are they close enough that it still kind of feels like a House of Pain booking? Or was that
Um,
I've been booked by somebody else moment?
well, Joe is obviously from like trained by Styx originally as well. And Joe used to like run some classes occasionally. Like I know he used to teach at Hop, but that was before I was there. And then he used to run his elevation classes at Hop occasionally. Um, and then a lot of House of Pain trainees would wrestle on the elevation shows. So it doesn't feel completely independent, but it was still like, oh, this guy wants to book me, like, but yeah, it wasn't. It was still Joe still makes his decisions independently of Styx, but then it does feel quite similar because it's a lot of the same wrestlers.
That's it. So yeah, you kind of got it's the best of both worlds. Then you kind of got that feeling of um, achievement of like, right, okay, it's out of house,
Yeah,
but I know some of these faces, so it kind of
yeah,
feels like a holiday home. It's a home away from home,
yeah,
but
definitely.
it's still their choice to they've taken this chance on me to fill this spot,
Hmm.
which
Definitely,
is
yeah.
so I speak to again I speak to people that have been around for a year, been around for 20 years, and like the newbies, the fresh meat. I like to sort of just get that feeling of sort of happiness, what I mean, when just that you've done enough to earn a spot
Yeah,
outside of the school. It's just
yeah,
like say you obviously it's a sense of accomplishment.
yeah, definitely. It's really every time you get a new booking, it's nice because it's like, oh, somebody else is like putting that trust in me to represent on their shows and do a good job. So it's always a nice feeling, definitely.
Well, I'll get straight to the something I was going to bring up at some point. You're talking about the feeling of just the nice feeling of getting a booking. I mean, you've got a title shot this Saturday.
I do.
For a very good company. I'm kind of, I'm not being biased at all in the fact that we sponsor them, but True Grit, very good reputation, very credible company. That
Hmm.
women's title is
Yeah.
prestigious. Yeah, and there you go. You've got a match against Ivy, who you are no stranger to.
No, I love True Grit. It's one of my favorite shows, especially that venue in Leeds. It's fun. It's so cool. Um, yeah, obviously this will be the second time I faced Ivy in True Grit, I think. And then yeah, because I did once. I'd had a singles match with her at York where she beat me, classic. And probably 50th time I faced her as a whole. I imagine like majority of my matches Ivy has been in. But this is my first no DQ match, first match involving weapons. So I am excited. I'm very nervous, but I am excited to hopefully take home that True Grit Women's Championship.
And that
Fingers
Dan
crossed.
Brady can't get involved, so that's
I
a
know
plus.
it is a plus. Nobody else, just me and her.
That's it, Bosh. Although I'm sure if anybody's going to find a way to get shenanigans in, Ivy will do it in some way, shape.
It will be her. No, I know her well enough. Hopefully, I think to be able to.
Obviously, JC does an episode. Me and him talk about 97 wrestling on here quite a lot. And yeah, again, your name's come up in conversation. And again, saying Bobby Cash was singing your praises before. JC sort of said, the first couple of times you came into True Grit, it was kind of like, there was a change to the plans. You kind of filled in, you helped him out, you came in, you
Yeah,
filled the role. But every time you've just gone above and beyond. Hence, probably, hence why you keep coming back. So
Yeah.
that must be like, well, again, that feeling of achievement. You've come in at the last minute and absolutely smashed it.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like it's great to be able to get a booking, full stop, but then getting the rebooking is what feels like even better, because it's like, oh, these people don't really know me. Like maybe I have filled in last minute. I know one of them against Daisy Jenkins was a super last minute one, but the fact that they like you enough that they're going to bring you back and is also a really great feeling. So yeah, I really appreciate JC for that. He's fantastic.
And again, you know, you're being used in high profile matches. Obviously, the last show I was at left bank.
Whew.
It was a very weird match in regards to, you know, you, Lana, Helen, and obviously Commander Stephanie, you know, Sterling. That
Yeah.
seemed like a fun match.
It was. I don't think you can get much different with all the different characters and personalities there. So when it was announced, I was like, "Oh, this is going to be interesting," which it certainly was. And I did get my ass beat a little bit in that one. Like I saw the show got uploaded, I watched my match back, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I remember every single one of those bumps and things." But yeah, it was my lucky day, I'd like to say.
As long as you can remember them, that's a good thing. It's when you can't
Yeah,
remember them
yeah,
that's just gonna get
100%.
annoying.
But that was definitely a fun one. That was my first time being in the ring with Helen and Commander Sterling. And my I don't know, I faced Lana in a couple of tag matches before. But yeah, it was just completely different. I don't do that many multi-mans fail four ways, so going into it I was quite nervous, but it was a lot of fun.
Talking about it, I've just recently, I think we've been, I can't remember the exact date, but you've just done like a multiverse rumble. It was does your first rumble, or have you done a few, or how do you find them?
I mean, I've done I think I've done 3 rumbles before. I did one at House of Pain, sorry, which was my first ever rumble, which I ended up winning. And then I did one at PEW, Phenomenal Elite Wrestling. And then I did that one. And I actually hate being in rumbles, to be honest. Like
I've
they're
heard they're pain, and yeah, I've heard they're
yeah.
gentle. Like there's that many moving parts. Your head's
Mhm.
just like.
Yeah, they are so stressful, and like knowing what to do in between the parts where people aren't making their entrances. I just feel like they're so fun to watch. I like Rumble's one of my favorite pay-per-views. I love it. It's always so exciting. But now that I've been in Rumbles, I realize actually this is so boring. I don't enjoy it. I'd rather just do a normal match. So I'm actually not I'm not too upset that I'll be missing out on the True Grit Rumble, although I'm sure it'll be very entertaining. I'm glad I've got a match instead.
I think it'll be entertaining for the fans, but I always kind of like, yeah, after speaking to numerous people, there's always part of me that has just got that little bit of, I feel sorry for the people involved sometimes.
Yeah, yeah.
Just be like, you know, just the slightest thing can go wrong as well, you know.
Definitely. I
Just
think
blow
they
up.
are, yeah, they are so much easier to get injured and stuff in rumbles. They're scary. But to be fair, the multiverse rumble that I did last weekend was anything but scary, and probably one of the most fun things I've ever done in my life. So
A lot of big names in there as well.
yeah.
So obviously, you know, before the match, how do you, you know, being still fresh and, you know, young and eager, do you kind of sit there and soak it all in? Do you sort of get to speak to many people beforehand, or do you just kind of find your little place and zen out?
Well, I mean, for the most, like in other matches, yeah, like getting to talk to people and stuff. And I was definitely like, you know, I've got a lot of friends that are on that show, and it's always great to be in the locker room with like these amazing women in the UK. I think we've got like this is like one of the best, I don't know, independent scenes that we've got. Like with the women that we've got, it's fantastic. But in that one particular, I was dressed up as a shark, so I feel like I was more trying to channel my inner shark instead of taking things too seriously.
I'm sure it'll be before your time, but if you get a chance, look up YouTube Shark Boy TNA. I've just got images of you being like a little shark. a shark boy from TNA now. That's it, just coming out.
I mean, I'll have to Google it, but yeah, inflatable shark, which isn't actually the first time that I've ever been an inflatable animal in the ring. I don't know how they keep following me, but here I am. I have a lot of fun with them.
Expand. I need, like I said, I did a little bit of research, but I do like to have these conversations on the fly and just when somebody says something, be like, look, tell me more.
Yeah, so obviously I was the shark last weekend for Ivy and Lana did their Baywatch entrance where they came out in like slow-mo running and eliminated me, damn. But then September of last year I wrestled at Wrestable for Galzilla, which is their like all women's show. And we all had to be different characters, and I was trying to think like what character I wanted to be. Like, I need to get a costume and all of this. I didn't have a lot of time, and I remembered I bought this giant inflatable dinosaur costume probably 8 years beforehand and never used it, and I thought, oh my god, this is perfect. And so I dressed up as a giant inflatable dinosaur. It was absolutely humongous. And I wrestled Kanji, who was deathmatch Kanji, but we had an inflatable deathmatch. So all of the weapons were inflatable and not real. And it was just a hoot. It was amazing. The crowd were so loud and just loved it, even though it was the most ridiculous thing that I've ever done. But yeah, it was really, really great.
Welcome to the wonderful world of wrestling.
I know, it's crazy.
It can be so serious and everybody gets so passionate about it, or it can just be so ridiculous. Everybody loves it, and it's just crazy. It's obviously we used at the True Grit show. You had Kid Bandit versus Sterling.
Yeah, I watched that live.
Yeah, and obviously that was like some brutality in there. But there was a barbed wire. I'm going to get absolutely shot in the comments probably. I can't remember the name of the character, but there's some cuddly toy wrapped in barbed wire.
Yeah, I remember.
Used as a weapon.
100%. It's just, you know what? Wrestling is so many different types. It's so fun. There's something for everyone in wrestling, and it doesn't always need to be serious. Like, it's called in like obviously WWE, it's called sports entertainment for a reason. It's supposed to be entertaining, and there's so many different types of fans that love so many different types of things, like deathmatch wrestling, and then like I don't know, the WWE, and then independent wrestling. Like, it's completely different. There's always something for everyone. So like being able to do crazy stuff like dress up as a dinosaur or hit somebody with a barbed wire cuddly toy, like it's gonna entertain someone, and if you're having fun as well, then like I'm sure the crowd will. It's great.
Most definitely. I do apologise, I've got a cat shouting on me, so I'm afraid it's going to mess up my vocals.
That's okay.
There he is.
Oh,
Right,
go get mine.
Oh no, because he won't leave me alone. If he sees another cat, he'll be like, well. Yeah, no, I totally agree. Obviously, the cliche is a good wrestling show should be like a circus. You got a bit of everything for everybody. If you love all of it, awesome. If you don't, hopefully you like more than you dislike. So yeah, you got your technical, you got your comedy, you got your flippy stuff, you got your bowling. So kind of rewinding it back then to just to kind of get into the head of people when they start training. Did you start training with, because you was fresh to wrestling, did you go in with like an idea of like, right, I kind of want to be this kind of person, I want to work this kind of style, or did you just go through the sort of the routines and see what felt natural?
I feel like, I don't know if I mean, I saw all the flippy stuff and I thought this is the coolest thing ever. And I was like, I want to do this. I want to be a luchador. And I've talked to other people in the past, and I know I'm not the only one that thinks that. And then you actually start wrestling, and I realized I am 5'10" and not able to do any of this. And I started just like changing my mind through wrestling. But yeah, I think I wanted to do certain moves and stuff like that. But very early on, I was like, actually, no. And now, even if I could do the flippy stuff, I don't think I'd want to. Like, I'd like different types of wrestling now. And yeah, but I definitely like lucha.
There you go. Well, it's one thing to like it. It's another thing to appreciate it. It's another thing to be like, I kind of don't want to put my body through that if I don't have to.
Definitely.
As you said, you're 5'10", you know, you pretty much stand head and shoulders above a lot of the women wrestlers in the UK. So yeah, you know, it'd be nice if, you know, if just like every now and again you had it in your arsenal to bust out if you wanted to, but it's not needed. Like I say, you can kind of go into that ring and just automatically you're stood there and it's like, oh crap, this person's like up here. If they punch me in the
Massive,
face.
yeah, I know. I didn't realize how tall I was actually. Well, I did, but I didn't realize quite until I kind of got out there a bit more and started wrestling more women. Because I think when I first started, I was just wrestling guys who were like my height or taller than me. And so I never really got to realize, like, whoa, actually, you are humongous. But now I do.
That's it. Now, when you step in the ring, I mean, obviously, not besmirching anyone. You know, there's sort of average heights and stuff, but it's like, you know, when we saw you in the ring with Lana, or when we've seen you in the ring with Ivy before.
They're both
Neither of
short.
them are short, but
They
you know,
are. They are so short. They are short, and
that's it. You just stood there, like, you could probably just stand there and put your hand on the head. You know,
I have.
what
I have, yeah, with Ivy a couple times actually. Actually, I think of both of them.
there you go. See, strategy. Just do that until they knock themselves out, and then you know, so, won't be the greatest match, but you get the win.
I mean, I would be very entertained. So,
so obviously I mentioned the Rumble you've just been in. Prior to that as well, you was working for, you know, you was at Win wrestling in Newcastle. That's a new promotion. Kind of had a very good last 12 months, very similar to yourself. How did you find working in Newcastle? Because Newcastle's a city it's just passionate about wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that they've been able to sell out pretty much all of their shows or get crowds that I think nearly like 200, 300 people in that room, and they're so new, is so impressive. And it just goes to show, one, what a great job they're doing, and two, what a great city Newcastle is for wrestling. But yeah, it is crazy in that room. When I saw it and they were saying like, oh yeah, we'll get like 200, so I can't remember the exact number, but I was like, oh my goodness, because you don't think, like, you see the room and it's quite like, it's not small, but it's not like massive. But then it's absolutely packed when it's there. It's so cool.
I think it's quite deceptive as a fan, even, you know, like, you know, we was on about True Grit, we're on about, you know, Left Bank. You walk into there, you think, oh, it's quite a nice little venue, but, you know, I think when that's at capacity, you're talking like, you know, 300-ish people kind of thing.
Yeah.
And you just put it, you know, somebody said, oh, 300 people in here, I'm like, nah, it's not happening.
It does, yeah. They squeeze. And it's actually quite nice. It's quite nice when it's a smaller venue, because it just seems more filled out than if it was like a massive arena with just 300 people in it. Would seem really small. But when there's like, we're smaller and there's loads of people, it just, like, I don't know, I feel like a superstar.
That's it, you see. Again, the fan reaction, that's why you're never going to get bored of it. You know, you're just addicted now to that reaction, to the pop, to the noise.
Yeah.
So, I'll just, so obviously when you're training, when you're learning, you kind of, again, different people, different mindsets, I think. But, you know, some people will go off of the crowd more than others. You know, they can change things up depending on the crowd reaction. Are you at that point yet, or are you kind of still just feeling it out? Have you got that confidence to be like, you know what, let's maybe change it up a little bit?
Absolutely not. I wish I did. No, I wish I was better. I need to get better at doing stuff like that. But that takes a skill. It is so hard.
That takes years. That's, you know, I would say.
Out there, yeah. Sorry, you go.
No, I was going to say, you know, yeah, don't beat yourself. I'm not saying it in a bad way, kind of. I was just curious as to at what point people start to kind of feel, you know, feel the crowd, basically.
I think it just depends how much, like, how you train, like what you do in training. When I went to train out in America, like last year, March, April time, at a school in Las Vegas, and they were so good at that. Like, from the get-go, that's what they trained to do, kind of working as you go along in the match, like figuring out what you're doing. And they were just head and shoulders above above me, even when they're like 6 months into training, because that's just the type of way the style that they learned. But back in the UK, I don't think it is as common that you learn how to work that way. So I'm not like good at it in any way. I wish I was, because I think like every match benefits more kind of reacting to how the crowd are reacting. But it is so difficult out there anyway, like having to think about what the crowd are doing, think about what you're doing, keeping yourself safe, keeping your opponent safe, like trying to add other stuff as well. Like it's difficult.
Yeah, no, definitely, and it wouldn't be something. So I probably worded that incorrectly, from the get go anyway. Because obviously, as as fresh as you, somebody who's been around for like 5, 6, 7 years, they would be the one that kind of led that and guided you through, kind of thing. It's. But again, I think on the flip side is obviously if you're doing what you're doing well, the crowd are reacting as you want them to anyway. So you don't need to change anything.
Yeah, and then you do get the odd time where the crowds are dead silent and you're there like, oh, this is awkward, I don't know what to do now.
I mean, I can't really, because obviously it's British wrestling. Obviously I've only been to shows that I've been to, kind of thing, but any show I've ever been to, the crowd generally are always quite pumped and you're just happy to be watching wrestling.
Yeah, for the most part.
So I would imagine that doesn't happen very often. And
No,
if it
it's
does,
definitely
it's
no.
not you, it's them, basically, I would have thought.
Well, yeah, I think it's a mixture of both. It depends, because sometimes I think like when the show is really, really long, and like I've been there where I've been sat there for like 3 hours, and you get to like the ninth match on the card, and I'm like, oh my god, I've just got no energy left. Like it just depends. There's loads of different reasons why a crowd wouldn't be that crazy, but
That
yeah.
may be bad. That's maybe bad scheduling, bad timekeeping on the promotions part. That's just kind of like, yeah, the fans are going to burn out, but it's up to them to put the matches to keep the fans interested.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it all just depends. Like sometimes people have good days and bad days.
This is very true. Obviously, as fans as well, but thankfully, like I sort of said, everybody else seems happy, and at True Grit, you always seem to get very, very good reaction. And
True Grit, the fans are great. Or they're always crazy. Those crowds are amazing, especially at Left Bank.
It is. I haven't been to a York show yet, so I can't sort of speak from experience to a York show. But yeah, Left Bank crowd, awesome. Just banging venue. But like I said, you've getting booked in Newcastle now, so you're getting to experience the Geordie crowds.
Yeah.
Obviously, the House of Pain crowd is going to be rooting. It's just, I think you should be fine with crowd participation and cheers, and everybody just getting behind you.
Yeah, definitely. The House Pain crowds are always great. I love those crowds. I think we definitely take them for granted when we're there. We don't realize how lucky we have it.
It's, well, again, I've mentioned it beforehand. I know you're just outside of Nottingham, but I'm still going to class you as being, Nottingham based, because you trained in Nottingham, so that makes you an honorary Nottingham person. So that's just, I'm never going to besmirch any promotion or any crowd from Nottingham, basically. So they are just awesome. And I think we touched on it before. Styx knows what he's doing. He's never going to put on, a bad show.
Yeah, definitely not. He's
going forward, though, I say you're still pretty new, pretty fresh. Some people, have you done a list for this year of promotions or talents you want to work with? Have you got again, I'll make a Jericho reference. If you know it, awesome. If not, I apologize. But has anybody made the list?
I do know that. I'm not that I'm not that uneducated. I think the two promotions that I would love to work for, well, one that I like, one is Eve, but technically I've worked for Eve now as a shark. So I don't know if it counts, but yeah, Eve definitely, because that's one of the best female promotions, if not the best female promotion in the UK, and they book fantastic women all the time. And then North, like everyone's been saying such great things about North, and yeah, I'd love to work there one day.
That does. They are definitely, they seem to be on everybody's list. And but obviously, you know, you're on the doorsteps. You know, wrestling in Newcastle. I think you know they've got a pretty good relationship with North. It won't be surprise me. You know, you've turned up in Win, had an awesome show, word of mouth. You know, fingers crossed. It's all about space on cards and stuff, isn't it, as well? You know, or like last minute, you know, replacements if needed. But North seem very good at giving people chances. So I would bet, I'm confident I'm not going to lose this little finger by the end of the year. I'll bet this little finger that you will have been booked within the next 12 months at North, I would say.
Oh, pressure.
Not really. I'm not particularly attached to it. So I don't know. So just no more high fives if I lose it. Let's do high fours. So, but yeah, North, and I say you can tick Eve off. Even though you was a shark, it does count. But I don't see, you know, why that wouldn't become a regular thing either.
Yeah, hopefully. We'll see. We'll just see. Don't know. You
Opponents
never know.
wise, obviously in the Rumble, you know, don't know exactly who you was in there with at any given point. But is there anybody that you kind of haven't shared a ring with yet that you would like to, just, you know, for a learning curve, just to be able to pick the brain, just to sit down with them before or afterwards?
There's, you know, there's so many people. I feel like I can't just like specifically say. There's because I have been really lucky that in the past year or two I've been able to face so many of like the top women on the scene. Like I've been able to face Lizzie Evo, Millie, Rio, like all these people. But like I haven't been down in London that much, so I know there's so many women down south that I'd love to wrestle. LA Taylor, she's even further down south, I think, because she's so tall as well, and I just think that'd be really interesting because we're like the two kind of taller women on the scene. Kanji, because like I technically have wrestled her, but I don't count it because it was in a dinosaur costume. But yeah, I started training with her like very early on after I debuted, and I've always learned so much from her. She's done everything you can do in the UK pretty much, and she's amazing, so I'd love to wrestle her as well at some point.
That's anybody who's not mentioned, it's not a bad thing. Like I say, it's just, you know, I know what it's like when you ask people to ask you to put names out there, you feel bad, like, oh shit, I should have mentioned this person. It's not,
I want to wrestle everyone.
Yeah,
absolutely everybody, everyone that I can.
Everyone, that's it. And you know, training wise, obviously, you know, House of Pain, obviously sticking around there for a while. Do you ever get the feeling just like checking out anywhere else, like seminars? Is there anybody else that kind of you would like to pick the brain? You know, anybody that you would just be like, I'd like to sit down and have a 5-minute discussion with them from a coaching point of view?
Anytime that I can talk to Joseph Connors, he's like, I know him pretty well from Elevation. I've only done one session at Elevation. I need to go back down there and do some more training sessions. But he is an absolute mastermind when it comes to wrestling and just for the little details and things like that. And also, like, I did a seminar with James Mason once, and I learned so much from him as well. Just the basic, simple stuff. He's amazing at. And Rampage Brown, I would say. I've never. I want to go up to. I think is it Newcastle or Durham or around there, Newcastle kind of area?
I think I don't know if there's one specific one, but I know there's a few schools or a few people I know that have been trained by him, but they seem to be located in numerous places.
Yeah.
So he's just, you know, just a touring Obi-Wan of British wrestling kind of thing.
Yeah.
He's just got his wisdom on everyone. I did speak to somebody recently who did like a Rampage seminar, but I think it was over like 5 days. And he said by day 5, there was just like, I'm out. You know, just can we just sit and watch matches and talk about matches, please? Don't make me do anything. So be warned, if you do a Rampage one, the dude will absolutely grill you.
Yeah. Oh, I would. Well, I'll be there for it, 100%. I would love to learn under him at some point.
Yeah. he's definitely agreed upon that he's one of the best this country's ever produced. So just soak it in, and I think it'd be a massive privilege. But I've just totally lost my train of thought there. I was all about something else and just mentioned Rampage, and I was just like, yeah, Rampage. So yeah, House Pain, Joseph Connors, that's what I was going to talk about. I was kind of in my head, I don't know whether they'll take this, hopefully he'll take this as a compliment, but I was kind of think of him as the Adam Cole of British wrestling. The dude's just,
that's fair.
Yeah, you know what I mean? When I say that, you kind of get what I'm
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's cool. Hopefully I played football with him years ago at like a charity event. I would not want to get on the bad side of him. Very competitive. I just would not want to in any way, shape, or form.
No, definitely not. I don't think I've ever. I mean, Joe very rarely says nice things to me. In the nice, like in the best way possible. He's very he likes to bully me a lot. But I take it as a compliment. But yeah, he's I can take it. That's right. But whenever I see him wrestle, like you're always blown away. Like he's a bit of a jokester, like behind the scenes. But when you can't like not take him seriously when he's in the ring, he's phenomenal.
No, definitely. I spoke to Shotty from South Pro last week, and obviously Joe's their champion.
Yeah.
And I didn't get a chance to just join the conversation, just to sort of say, just having Joe as your title, as your champ, just automatically adds credibility to a promotion, in my opinion.
Definitely.
So, obviously, training under him, again, on what he's done as well, you could sit there, WWE, NXT UK. I'll just imagine you just being sat there, just soaking it all in, asking 20 questions, but
yes,
not letting it go to his head.
I think it has gone to his head. I'm not gonna lie. You know what? It's funny though, because I think when I first saw Joe, he was at House of Pain, like getting ready to do his training session for Elevation, and you see him and you're like, oh my god, it's Joseph Connors. And you think he's just like, oh god, he's such a big deal. And then now I just know him as Joe, and he's just an idiot.
Somebody who you wouldn't give a second thought to insulting and just walking away, can't they?
100%. He would do the same to me. So,
well, it's good you've got that mutual, appreciation of insults, and you're comfortable being able to have a go at each other. Really, I think in fairness, though, I don't think he would do it. Obviously, if he didn't think, as I said, you can obviously take it. You made
it's not malicious. It's not malicious at all. Definitely not.
No, exactly. So, so obviously, True Grit Saturday. Fingers crossed, obviously, North at some point going forwards.
Yeah.
Obviously, have you got any plans for House of Pain this year? Besides the True Grit title, is there, any gold out there you want to be looking at? You've got your eyes on? All of the gold.
Yeah, it's not, honestly, it's not the most exciting answer, but I don't really I'm not that bothered about championships. Like, they're nice, they look cool, and they're fun to walk around with, but I just love wrestling, and I just want to wrestle. Like, whether that comes with championships or not, I don't really mind.
So I did, but again, we was talking about getting that sort of booking outside of House of Pain, that sense of validation, accomplishment.
Yeah.
To me, that's what a title represents. Obviously we all know what wrestling is, as fans, X, Y, and Z. But it's another form of validation. It's just that sense of accomplishment that somebody's we've got this really shiny thing. Here you go. We want you to have it.
Yeah, it is I think promoters have to put a lot of trust and faith in their champions. So it definitely would be an honor. But yeah, we'll see. Yeah. Hopefully this weekend.
Yeah, that's it. Play it cool, and then when it does happen,
I know exactly. Yeah.
You just get that special moment. So, as a fan, obviously, again to rewind, you kind of got into wrestling very close to when you started watching it. So, on the timescale between, are you still watching wrestling as a fan, or are you watching it now as a student of the game?
I try and watch it as a fan. It depends. Sometimes you're there to literally just match study, and I'll go on and I'll try and find specific things to watch for ideas and stuff. But then if I'm going to an event WWE. I went to WrestleMania last year in LA, and just I'd try and like shut off from everything and just watch it as a fan, because I think you can get so caught up with all like the little things, but like just watching it for what it is and then trying to enjoy it is so much better than like being picky about stuff. Because I think you're more likely to get annoyed at stuff and be like, oh, why did they do that? Why did they do that? If you're like watching it as a wrestler.
That's it as well. But obviously, even if though you go into it and you're kind of trying to study it, if the match is that good, as a fan, it's going to suck you in, and you're going to just you're just going to lose yourself in the emotion of the match, and you'll forget about even thinking about it like that. You'll just be there, cheering when you're meant to cheer, booing when you're meant to boo, and it's got you back in the palm of your hand, kind of thing.
Yeah. Whenever I'm like watching something, and then like even if I am trying to watch it as like a wrestler, and then I see something and I'm like, oh my god, that was so cool, and I realize, oh wow, this is a great match. Any Roman Reigns match, I just can't stop. Like I can't think about the wrestling. I'm just there like fixated. Wow, this is amazing.
Yeah, that's cool, because obviously again somebody not very Marmite. I think the guy's awesome. People who can't really explain to me why they don't. They just think it's cool to dislike. So I'm a bit like, yeah, okay, fair enough.
Nah, some people just like to hate because it's cool to hate, like because everyone else likes him. But there's no reason. I mean, Roman Reigns.
They can't explain to me why they dislike him. It's like, if you tell me that reason, I'll accept it. It's sort of subjective.
Yeah. I don't believe there's a valid reason. Like, I've seen Roman Reigns live a couple times now, and each time, like, he'd be standing in the middle of the ring or standing in the corner of the ring, and all he has to do is look at the crowd, and they're all going crazy. Like, oh my god, this guy. And like, if you get to that point, I feel like you've conquered professional wrestling. Like, he doesn't need to do anything. All he needs is like little expressions, like just tiny little things, and he's just got the crowd absolutely captivated by him. Like, he is such a good wrestler.
He's a superstar. That's what it
is. Absolutely, yeah, he is. He is so good, and he deserves, because he gets a lot of praise, and he deserves all of it, 100%.
No, I totally agree. It would have been very easy at one point just to be like, that's it, I'm done. But no, he's shown through. There's an old saying, the cream will always rise to the top. And that's basically, what happened. So, obviously, I kind of didn't touch on this when you mentioned it. You went training in Las Vegas. How did that come about? Obviously, what was that like for you? Because that must have been huge.
Yeah, it was really exciting. So D'Lo Brown has come to House of Pain a couple times for some seminars, and then I did one, and I got some really great feedback from him. And then I did another, and then he was like, I want you to come in and train out at my school in Las Vegas. So like I booked it, and I was like, yeah, I'm just going to do it, because if I don't like just like throw myself into it, I won't ever go, because I'll be too nervous to go. And it was the same time, like I was planning to go around the same time as WrestleMania, which was in LA, and so it was just like an hour's flight away. So that's how I got to see WrestleMania. But yeah, I went for like almost 2 weeks and trained at Future Stars in Vegas, and it was like the most incredible experience, like completely different to training in the UK. Like, I went out by myself, and I was absolutely terrified because I didn't know anybody other than D'Lo, who dropped me off on my first day, and then I didn't see him again after that, and I was like, oh god, he's just left me. But no, I met some really great people out there. The like quality of training is like just top notch. The trainees, like, I couldn't believe how good some of them were for how little they'd been wrestling. Like, it'd be 3 months and they would just like, it was insane to go over there and experience it. And I was definitely like, felt completely like very little fish in a very big pond, big sea.
Wow, but to actually get the invite from D'Lo though, how cool is that? That's just
it was really cool. It was an honor, and getting to learn from some of those people was amazing, and I have memories I'll never forget.
That's awesome. I mean, the dude is probably, again, if you disagree, let me know in the comments, it's the greatest European champion ever in the WWE. D'Lo's got that going for him. But yeah, that's just amazing. That is legitimately kind of generally blow my mind. Obviously, it's the first time you've been to Vegas, or first time you've kind of ventured over by yourself. Second time.
Second time I've been to Vegas. I went to Vegas when I was like 10, which is such a weird age to go, because but then I went again when I was 18, 19. I think I was 19, and I still was a weird age to go because I couldn't do anything. Like,
of course, yeah. 21 over there, isn't it? Yeah,
I know, I'm not old enough to drink, not old enough to gamble or do anything. But I was there for the wrestling anyway, so it was fine.
I mean, going to Vegas itself, the reason I asked you if you've been before is just going to Vegas itself. For me, I can only imagine it being like absolutely mind blowing, just huge lights, bright, it's noisy. It's just this absolute presence of a place. But to go there by yourself and then, wrestle, training to wrestle for 2 weeks, that's just like adrenaline on top of excitement, on top of awesomeness, on top of loud banging noises.
Yeah, it was absolutely terrifying, to be honest. Absolutely terrifying, but I'm glad I did it.
Trying to get to. Yeah, that's what I was getting to in a long-winded kind of way. I can just imagine walking in, and most people, I'll just imagine walking in being like, "Nah, I'm turning around, I'm out." It's just sensory overload.
Yeah, well, I was like just completely thrown into it because I remember my first day, I got dropped off, and the trainer is a guy called Sin Bodhi, who I think was like a clown character in the WWE at one point. Anyway, he was so knowledgeable, like he's amazing, and he basically said, "Hi, you can be Jenny's training partner." Sorry, I just named, you can be this person's training partner who was doing there for a private session, and just put your boots on. And I was thinking like, oh, we'll warm up, like do some rolls, like I'll work on something that she's working on, and I put my boots on, and then he's like, okay, do a 5-minute match. Just do a 5-minute match. And like, I'd never met this lady before. I had no idea what move she did. I had no idea how good she was, how experienced she was. I'd not warmed up. I'd never met any of these people before. And I've got Sim Bodhi and D'Lo Brown sat there watching me do a 5-minute match, like just completely on the fly. And I don't think I've ever been so nervous in my life. But that's kind of what it was out there. Like you just like got completely thrown into stuff, and I actually think that's why everyone was so good, is because it's like sink or swim, and clearly everyone swum that was there. And like when you're put under these high pressure situations, it's how you actually learn quicker than just being comfortable.
That's like, you can pretty much walk into any building now, in any ring, and have that peace of mind of being like, well, I did that stuff over there.
Yeah,
well, you can't be phased. I can imagine you being a very hard person to phase now.
You'd be surprised. I don't know, but I do think like I learned a lot of like skills with like talking to people and social skills out there, because like in wrestling, do you know, when you go into a room, you have to shake everyone's hand. It's the polite thing to do. You shake everyone's hand, you say hi, nice to meet you, or hi, nice to see you again, and then when you leave, you say like hi, nice to meet you, hi, nice to see you, or whatever, or like goodbye. And then and that's just normal courtesy. You shake everyone's hand, it's polite. But in like the training school, it's not so much that you do that. I feel like it's more at shows, but at this school it was very much you go around to every single person in that training school and you shake their hand, even if it's just a training session, and when you leave you go and say goodbye to every single person. And so walking in there, and I don't know a single person in that room after D'Lo's gone, and still having to go around and like make conversation with every single person there, like I think like gave me that skill, because I always used to do it in the UK and just be so nervous, like, oh, why do I have to go around and shake everyone's hand? They don't want to shake my hand, they don't want to talk to me. But now it's like it's just so much easier to do something like that. You just got to be like thrown in the deep end to be able to learn stuff like that, I think, even the smallest things.
That's awesome. But yeah, I hear all that kind of stuff. I personally very socially awkward. That would be, drop me on my head 10 times, I'll take it. If I've got to go around and shake everybody's hands, that's when I'm going to be stood there like, I really don't want to do this. This is not me, though. I'm just not comfortable doing this. So
Yeah.
I totally sympathise with anyone who kind of has faced that and kind of, yeah, just overcome it. And, well, if you're going to do it anywhere, do it in Vegas.
Yeah, 100%.
That's
100%.
awesome. I generally was not expecting that story when we started talking, and that is just rubbing shoulders with D'Lo. That's quality. So yeah, I don't really know where to go from D'Lo, European title, Vegas. Kind of, I'm trying to big up True Grit, trying to big up Left Bank. It's all awesome, but I've just got Vegas in my head now. The bright light. It's just kind of like I was, did when you got back, next time you went to House of Pain, was everybody just grilling you on it? Were they excited to see you after you came back? That must have been like, she's been in Vegas for 2 weeks with freaking D'Lo. That must have been a buzz around.
I didn't tell a whole lot of people at House of Pain, so I don't think they actually knew. I think some of them did, but like not like it wasn't. And I was only, if I was gone for like 3 months, and I'm sure it would have been like, oh my god, ZiZi, you're back. But I was gone for 2 weeks, so I don't think they really noticed that I was gone. But I did, like, there were people that I knew like were like really curious about what I did, and I had some really great stories that I probably can't even remember now. But yeah,
I mean,
that's
just imagine the other trainers or the trainees just kind of living vicariously through you, a little bit, and just be like, oh, this, that, and the other, and then being excited for you, kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely. The people, my friends that I like talked to about it, definitely were, and really supportive about it as well, which is cool, which is really nice.
That's awesome. That's just, I genuinely, I can't actually top that. Just looking at, we're coming up to the hour mark, so kind of pressure's off. I don't really have to top that because most episodes run for about an hour. So I'm gonna sort of just ask sort of the last question, covering the ZiZi character. Did you have, again, it's kind of like when I asked you earlier, when you started training, if you had sort of a style in mind that you wanted to work. I'm always interested how people come up with your in-ring persona, your character. Is it just an extension of you, or is it just something, is it that freedom of self to be creative?
Yeah, well, I feel like at the minute, I don't really have a character. I wish I did because I love characters, but at the minute, I'm just kind of like myself. And I don't know, like ZiZi, I mean, ZiZi's my real name anyway, so it doesn't really feel like a massive separation when I'm out there because everyone's just saying my name that I've known my entire life anyway, where I know a lot of people, they have different names when they wrestle, so it's like there can be a very clear segregation between them as a person, them as a wrestler, where I am just ZiZi all the time. I think like as a heel, there is a character that I have in mind that I would like to lean towards, but it's just about having the confidence to do that. But no, at the minute, I think I am just who I am, and I go out there and I be myself.
That's it again, though. It's like I keep on my side. It's kind of my bag. So I'm talking to you, and in my head, you've been around for ages, just because you've done X, Y, and Z, and it's still still fresh. Yeah, you're working face, working heel. It all comes through experience, like you sort of said at the minute. You just kind of you.
Yeah.
When you get down there, when you get a bit more, a few years behind you, kind of thing, you can start probably having a bit more fun with it and just letting loose a bit more.
Yeah, definitely. I'm still learning like every single day so much about this business, and I still need that like a little bit more time to find who I am exactly because I've not really found myself where in the ring at the minute. But yeah, hopefully soon it will come.
We're going to get a badass evil heel ZiZi who just turn up to 11 and that's it. You're just going to just absolutely destroy everyone, and then you step out the ring and you're nice as pie again. You've got that separation there.
I mean, I try my best.
Right, we've hit the hour mark. Plug your socials where people can keep an eye on what you're doing, see posters that you're on for shows and stuff like that.
Z to the power 2 on Instagram and Twitter, and that's all I have.
I will obviously tag hearing stuff anyway when I'm uploading this. So obviously, if you're not following, please do. If you see ZiZi on a show near you, buy a ticket, go and support. And yeah, so hit like, hit subscribe, share, do the generic stuff that I always say at the end of an episode. And keep down there somewhere. Yeah, spread the love. Keep your eyes peeled for announcements. I've got a busy few months coming up. And if you're at True Grit on Saturday, feel free to say hi. Buy me a drink if you want, or just say hi, that's fine. And we will see you again very, very soon.
Bye.